Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far with some further Rostermania tidbits going around. Censor is also getting ready for the last chance qualifier for the World Championship on the Challenger side. Goes down 2-0 to a potential hacker, gets them to monitor cam and makes the reverse sweep. Rather spicy stuff. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really helps on the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that. Congrats to FaZe on a highly successful launch of the SPAC merge or whatever they did, dropping 30% on day one. FaZe have done it again. Not really sure, honestly. Just wanted to touch on this real quick, just because I think people are saying, okay, maybe this FaZe going public deal, if you guys haven't heard about this, is will it really affect the actual Atlanta FaZe team in the Call of Duty League? I don't really think that'll be the case, just because I'm pretty sure FaZe are owned, or Atlanta FaZe are owned by Atlanta Esports Ventures, like a different actual company to FaZe Clan themselves, but like FaZe have effectively lent that organization the rights to use Atlanta FaZe. Atlanta FaZe, I believe, and FaZe Clan are separate entities. Now, still, they are rather entangled to a certain degree. It might affect things down the line, but if Cellium pops a two-piece, the stock price probably isn't going to go up. So just to let you guys know that one. Wanted to mention this as well, because this honestly is classic stuff from the CDL, really. Back on the 13th of July, I think I mentioned this tweet yesterday, but didn't necessarily bring it up, that Spinner Spence says there'll be an update on challenges either late this week or early next week. Of course, both those dates are long gone. It's now Thursday of the week after. And as Clay then says a couple of days ago, where's the update, Spence? And then Spencer says, okay, it's coming today. Thanks for your patience, Kate. Finally, we're going to get this update out to you. And then he says, okay, you know, awesome stuff, you know, my guy. Now, Doug comes out a couple of hours ago, says, okay, where actually is this update? Because then Clay's like, okay, we're waiting, guys. Like, okay, where actually is this thing? We've been here a very long period of time, and where is this update arriving, Spence? Like, come on, deliver the update. And even as Doug says, any update? And then Spence comes out and says, sorry, waiting on some stuff to be ready to publish. Sadly, looking like info's coming out tomorrow. So vintage stuff for the CDL. There's somehow even this sort of relatively, probably small update to what's going to happen for the Challengers World Championship is actually going to come out tomorrow. So, because that's the thing, if they were going to substantially change the format, like, they would have had to announce it way before now. Like, effectively, the big complaint has been that only 8 teams go to Challengers Champs. 4 of them are kind of determined through online, effectively, the points numbers, the pro points numbers that these teams have picked up this season, that has largely favoured some of the European teams more than North America because of the competitiveness of the regions. And then there's last chance qualifiers around the world to qualify, where only 1 team makes it through the LCQ. So it's hardly a world championship in that sense. The qualifier is arguably a more prestigious tournament than the actual event itself. Now, the rumour had it that the LCQ, instead of only being the top 8 teams in terms of pro points from North America and the other regions, was actually now going to be the top 32 teams, which does mean more teams get to attend the LCQ, but also means that effectively that is the real tournament here, rather than the World Championships themselves. So if that's the only update, and we heard this rumoured now for like a week or a couple of weeks now, we heard that rumoured, and that's the only thing the CDL has spent 2 weeks trying to prepare something to publish for, just classic stuff. Maybe it's actually a big deal and they're going to change the entire format, but I feel like that is very unlikely because, you know, Doug's been trying to make that happen for the last several weeks, hasn't really got anywhere with it, unfortunately, but Doug's eventually resigned to his fate at this point and said, okay, look, whatever, the format might be terrible, but still, if Doug's team wins the last chance qualifier, if Clayster's team wins the last chance qualifier, they get to go to the World Championship. And as Doug says, actual online COD champs, not this FaZe thing the COD League is doing. So I believe like one of the organizations that likes to run like amateur Call of Duty tournaments is effectively putting on their version of COD champs, where they have all the best teams and, you know, put some money on the line. I think it might only be North America only, but eventually the format is way better. It's kind of an unofficial COD champs effectively that they're trying to do here with a better format than the CDL. So Doug's playing in that one, right, a few days here ahead of the last chance qualifier. This was a hilarious clip. I'll have to use it as an outro clip for this video because Doug's playing here with Tuscan Hardpoint, gets the kill away. He doesn't actually get the kill middle. His teammate gets the trade, and then he sees the second guy running out of bottom church, calls it out to his teammate, like he just screams at middle at his teammate because he's not turning around enough. And he does admit after this, okay, maybe the call out wasn't the best of intention. Okay, the intention was good, the execution might not have been the best, but you know, they did go on to win this map regardless, taking on Boston Capstone, of course, I guess Doug's teammate in a way, because Doug and Capstone are both on the bench right now for the Boston breach technically, as of course the actual main team goes into the World Championship. But yeah, I thought this is a hilarious clip, to be honest. And as Gunless says, I'm getting 1080 turned on, absolutely destroyed if someone called out to me like this. Amateur mistake, it was unacceptable out of me. Thank God we won. So look, they clutch her anyway. And this was the real spicy series, right? So eventually Doug manages to confirm top 6, playing John's team in the winners semi-finals for top 3. So, you know, good stuff from Doug again, getting a decent result. They do look like a very solid team actually right now, Doug's squad. And who knows what they can do at the actual last chance qualifier for the World Championship, especially if there are already format tweaks or more teams get to qualify, even though that's very unlikely as we have looked at so far. So this is what was going on. Doug's team went down 2-0 to this guy, who I'm guessing goes by Freak. So anyway, this guy and his team, they go up 2-0 over Doug's team, as you can see right here, he drops 14 in the search and destroy, 14 in 6 in the search. That's the top guy on the left-hand side. Doug goes 7 in 7. They go down 2-0 here. And now apparently this guy has been kind of considered like, okay, is this guy dodgy? Is there anything going on here? Because, of course, it's on like Call of Duty. You don't really know what someone's using. The anti-cheat isn't particularly good. People can hide stuff. So apparently, like the Face It anti-cheat that some people use, he's been effectively told to use that in the past. And as he says in this tweet, they told me to use Face It, whatever. I guess I'm just the goat because, you know, apparently he's all perfectly legitimate. Now, Doug's team said, look, we're not fully convinced that this is legit. Turn, I think you dropped it as what? I mean, 14 in 6, almost a 2.5 KD here in the search and destroy. I think he had like a 2 KD in the first hard point as well. And then Doug's team told him, look, we're not convinced that you're legit here. Just put the monitor cam on and we'll play the rest of the series. So I'm pretty sure Freaks then puts the monitor cam on to try and prove that he's legit or whatever, and then gets absolutely smoked for the next 3 maps. Now, this doesn't necessarily prove anything, but like, I mean, yeah, maybe he just got nervous, right, or just got smoked the next few maps anyway. But it is rather interesting, as Doug says, you know, you're absolutely terrible here, because, I mean, yeah, it was a rather spicy situation, even as Dan Ghosty says, teammate, of course, of Doug. That's so crazy when the cams come on, he gets more kills in S&D than Respawn, reverse sweep complete, right? It says you're horrid at Freaks right there. And fair play to Freaks actually leaving these tweets up. I thought he would just have deleted them. But, I mean, yeah, pretty interesting stuff, really, that they get him to turn the monitor cam on. And as Volant says, right here, or Kyoin, whatever exactly he goes by at the moment, GG's to those guys, 1-3-2, had to reverse sweep when the hacker threw up a monitor cam, entering final form to finish off this god. I thought this screenshot was kind of funny, actually, because this is here from the control, where Doug only gets the 5 kills. So Doug drops the 5 bomb. In fairness for the win there, and in fairness, like, yeah, these guys are just fried as much as they were. There's not that many kills to get on the map. I imagine Doug was just sitting in the point, trying to defend or trying to capture it. But like, if you look on the other side, this Freaks guy, from dropping 14 in the search and destroy, now goes 5 in 17 in the control. Rather interesting, right, that they puts the monitor cam on, and all of a sudden, like, okay, maybe, well, theoretically, he turns the hacks off or whatever, so he doesn't get called out for it or doesn't get spotted for it, and then he starts, well, hitting Burger Town for the rest of the series. And maybe it's just a coincidence, right? Maybe he just got nervous the last few maps or whatever, but like, you know, still, it is rather too good to be true, I suppose, that a supposed hacker is forced to turn them off, and then it's absolutely worked for the rest of the series. So intrigued to your thoughts on that one in the comment section below, to be honest, whether you think there's anything to that or not. Now, as Clay says, though, of course, what they're playing right now, Censor, is not the official last chance qualifier. That happens in, I guess, is starting this weekend, as Clay says, 4 days of practice left, I guess, including yesterday, before the LCQ, so they're getting ready to go. Of course, he's been traveling for a couple of weeks to the Boston event, then to New York, so definitely hasn't got the best, a lot of practice with this team. Going to put them slightly on the back foot, I would imagine, going into the LCQ, but still, of course, anything is possible, and an update from the CDL coming soon. Now, I did want to mention a couple of things with regard to Attach right here, just because yesterday we talked about, is it possible he's going to decide to leave the Minnesota Rokkr? Is it about time? Is that organization really, like, you know, how committed are they really to winning? Because the last 3 years, really, since the inception of the CDL, I think, well, they made 1 grand finals back in Modern Warfare. They did, of course, win last year at Stage 5, but as a result of that, they decided to keep the team together, and then it doesn't really work out there to make some changes, and I feel like this season they could have done a much better job in trying to prove that they really actually want to compete for championships, right? Of course, last season they did win one, so, you know, obviously you've got to give them some credit where it's due, but Attach at the end of his days now on the contract is probably thinking, well, you know, maybe it's time to go elsewhere. Talking to Arcitys, okay, maybe we're teaming next season. Of course, like, Arcitys, it doesn't seem like he's going to leave FaZe. He did mention yesterday that they've re-signed their contracts for next season. Some people were doubting whether that's actually true or not. I'm going to take Arcitys' word for it. The FaZe have indeed re-signed their contracts. But Attach actually does mention this, right? So Trey says, aBeZy, winter is better than summer, and Attach goes, go live in Minnesota for a winter. That will change your mind real quick. So interesting, really, just because we did mention yesterday that, does Attach really like it up in Minnesota, given he's from, like, the West Coast, California, nice and warm a lot of the year. He's been living up there in Minnesota, like, at least for quite some time now, like, you know, with the Minnesota guys at the headquarters they have. Is that really where he wants to be? Is that one of the reasons why they might struggle to attract great talent? In a similar vein to why no one really wants to play for Paris, just because of the implications of actually playing for Paris as an organization, like, maybe Minnesota's going to struggle to attract, you know, some talent to the same degree, right? And Attach, I'm sure, probably, at least based on this tweet, that it is coincidentally timed, might well be thinking, look, can I really stand Minnesota for another year, or would I just prefer to go to a Los Angeles Guerrillas, or whatever is possible? Now, Arcitys also tweets this out yesterday. I'm kind of surprised, like, what this even is, really, and he didn't drop, like, an S or, like, the sarcastic or whatever. Obviously, he's just playing around here, but I was kind of surprised, because I thought this might have been a tweet that he did back in the day. I was trying to find maybe, like, a copy-pasta version of this, or whether he just came up with this off the top of his head. I'm not really sure exactly what this refers to. What it does refer to, of course, is the World War II United squad, which was Prestinni, Clayster, Fellow, and Arcitys for a time. And as he says right here, can't believe I find out like this. Good luck to Preston, that being Prestinni, Clayster, and fellow, thought we started clicking, but got dropped for Venom, found out through a stream, lol, I run Bart / STG, of course, two of the weapons that were very prominently used back in the day. So, look, he's not saying he's getting dropped from the FaZe team, but I'm kind of surprised really what this tweet even is, why he came up with this. And it was interesting he mentioned that he got dropped for Venom just because, I mean, I pointed this out, which was, I mean, one of the most, well, maybe not the most famous series, but one of the most memorable series to me from the Cold War days, where Los Angeles Thieves got completely obliterated by FaZe. If you guys remember this one, like, they just got completely embarrassed here on this checkmate control. 16-0 it was in the final rounds. Venom was just crouching around here, and it was kind of funny, really, because it was Venom and Arcitys on the other team at this time. Arcitys at this point was 27-11, and yeah, TJ, Slasher, Kenny, Venom, that was the team at the time. And aBeZy just went up and assassinated Venom for the loss. Like, I mean, the quick 3-0 with the control, one of the more dominant series you're going to see. So, of course, Venom was involved in this one as well. There was even a clip that came out yesterday. I saw it was on maybe the Zoom Eclipse channel or something, where someone was questioning, okay, could Dashy ever go to FaZe? Like, what would that look like, right? We'll look at some of the all-star teams potentially later on today, and probably Dashy and Cellium could well be on the same all-star team together. If that's the case, that'd be rather spicy. But also the possibility of that happening in the future, right? I mean, like, Arcitys said yesterday they're committed to the team. This is going to how it's going to be going forwards. But, like, you know, I have wondered, what is it going to take for this team to blow up? Like, will they be together for the next 5 years? Rather unlikely. Is Dashy going to be off Optic in the next 5 years, though? That also might be rather unlikely, because they seem to be committed to him for the long haul, as does he to Optic. I think he said that he's definitely not going to ever leave Optic. He'll only leave if he gets forced out, which probably isn't going to happen either. So the whole, like, you know, FaZe Dashy thing, or like Optic Arcitys thing, doesn't seem like it has any credibility to me, and I'm sure FaZe are going to stick together next year. It's Vanguard at the end of the day. They've still been the best team on balance this entire season, but all teams do eventually come to an end. We see Toronto Ultra this season haven't had the same success they did last year. Will they split up? That seems a rather likely possibility going into the off-season, depending, of course, what the contract situation looks like. And, you know, FaZe, it will happen eventually, but it might not happen anytime soon. Wanted to mention Florida Mutineers just real quick, because decided while talking about what exactly do you do with Skies and Awakening, where do they go? I was even thinking, I looked a couple of days ago at that kind of theoretical idea I had for the Boston Breach and what they might do as a roster, whether they're going to have Vivid and Nero plus maybe Temp, or even like plus Clayster or something. And what I was thinking about is, what about Awakening in that team? What about if Awakening is your flex player? Like, that would be very nice indeed. I think on that Boston squad, for example, if you have another competent AR, I feel like Skies and Awakening as a duo should probably go their separate ways, but in fairness, maybe it's just the organization that gives them these SMG players that aren't really up to the task, and only gives them one of them, right? So maybe like a Skies Awakening duo could still work on another organization, but I'd probably prefer to split them up and maybe see Awakening like be a flex role on some other team that maybe is in need of an upgrade, right? Maybe a Boston could be an example. So excited to see where these two players go, because incredibly talented on their day, but it just hasn't worked out on Florida really the last couple of years. And just to finish up with a rather interesting statistic, as we were mentioning Dashy, actually, this I think these are courtesy of Brian Stats, the longest 1KD plus streaks in tournaments so far this season. Dashy and Cellium are both at 11, so I guess the last 11 tournaments in a row, I think, is where they've had a 1KD. Hydra's at 10, Awakening is at 8, which is kind of interesting. Attach, Pred, Mac, Shotzi, whatever, pretty much so far this season. But yeah, Dashy, Cell, and even Hydra and Awakening, like they are the top of the bunch on this metric at the very least. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Tell us your YouTube gods, it's a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well. And I hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
No, two weak, I'm pushing up. No, noodles.
I'm about to get tree.
They're blocked, one shot. I'm in. Dude, they're blocking outer block. The two outer block.
Middle weak, Tyler.
Good shot.
Middle, now turn. Middle, you.
You're dead. I'm one shot. I'm upset. I'm gonna die.
Their side. He needs help.
I'm staying down. I'm stunned. I'm weak.
Timmy, outer block, one shot, Timmy.